Get him, Rach. Get him. Look at her, look at her.
I know, she's totally, she's like...
Here we go, here we go. Yeah, this worked out just fine. We got the pine cones out of the way.
Yep.
It's snowing. She's got her sweaters on. This is worth the price of admission right here. This is the best. I'm so happy. I'm in this too. This is Frank. This is Rachel's daddy. Yes. Where's my sweet girl? Okay, you coming in? It's snowing out again. Really, really thick. Really, really pretty. Look at all that snow. This is awesome. Get him, Rach. Get him. Looked like it was starting to warm up. The sun was starting to come out. So there was some blue skies peeking through. And then now some more snow. It's still before noon though. Yes. Who's that? Who's that, Rach? Who's that? You smell coyotes? Huh? She's got two sweaters on. I don't know how this is affecting her feet, but I'm gonna stop taking videos and start just continuing to enjoy the moment. Rachel Bear. When I first started within charter schools back in February 2019, one of the things I asked about was, had we ever considered using a platform like SolarWinds or ConnectWise or Ninja or any other number of platforms that are out there. As a IT contractor, I used to use ConnectWise as a RMM MSP platform or MSP RMM platform for my clients. And I found it very valuable. So when I started, we didn't have a topology scheme for any of our networks, any of our nodes anywhere within the enterprise. There have been so many times that something went awry on our networks throughout the enterprise. I was like, we really should be using this, and that's something I was looking at earlier. That's something I couldn't find. So I wanted to kind of show you guys, just to kind of give an example. Here's an alert that we would get it would show up in the ticketing system saying that something's disconnected with the switch. It doesn't tell us why, what the problem is, so of course we have to go into Aruba Central. Aruba Central is not terribly forthcoming with regard to details on any given thing. So there's some work that needs to be done there. Here's another situation where I frequently get these types of things where it says exactly what you're seeing there. It's an error for big packets MTU in excess of. And through a lot of research and reading the tech boards within Aruba Central, the common consensus is when I see this error coming up and people are asking about it, is that an inferior access point somewhere on that LAN cannot handle MTU, large packet frames very well. So it kicks them. It kicks them off, or just errors out, and that's where the error is coming from. Is basically an antiquated or inferior AP that just can't handle it. So it's not typically a problem, but we'd rather not have this. And I only found that through the boards, and I'm presuming that's the case, but there's no way really in Aruba Central for me to go in and see, in fact, that that's what's happening. It would be nice if we had something like that. Sometimes I get these errors from Sophos. I get them in emails. It says, hey, one of your firewalls went down. It doesn't say where, it doesn't say the serial number, the MAC address, or anything like that. And then you have to go through a process finding out what firewall went down and why it went down, where it is, and there's a lot of investigative work. And you have to check a lot of places to find out what's going on. So we never got the project rolling. I brought it up in the VM, as I've said, and it worked. I showed that we could do it. It did work, but it ran terribly in the VM, and we never really went forward with the program with regard to creating this platform. And we had acting go down several times for various reasons. We had the ISP, we had somebody plugged in a rogue switch into the network and created a loop. And the thing is that we ended up having to spend a great deal more time going out and troubleshooting those problems, because we didn't have the type of technology in place that could allow us to see all of the nodes on the network and how they were interacting with one another in a way that we could then troubleshoot from afar. And sending people out and making phone calls and going through different channels, it's too time consuming, it's too cumbersome, and it's way beneath what we should be doing as an IT department, in my opinion. So I took it upon myself to basically buy various parts on eBay to put together for myself a server that could manage this platform. And then I also bought Windows Server 2019 and Windows SQL Server 2017, and I built up this server, and that's the server that you're looking at right here. So this server is pretty good, actually. The microprocessor in this server is superior to the one that's in our on-prem server in Poway, the one that we've been using for Snippet development and others. And what I did was I installed the Orion platform, SolarWinds platform, on the C drive, and as per SolarWinds recommendation, if you can't put the SQL on a separate server, put it on a separate drive at least. And so I installed the SQL server on that drive right there. And if you look at things as they're running, you could see that the server is all up and running nice and clean with no errors. And you can see that the SQL is also running lovely. So I've created Sophos Connect VPN connections for these locations, and I have gone in at various times and pulled those locations, and there's really not a lot of activity going on given that everybody's working from home now, especially now that it's the weekend. And I've been doing all of this on my own time and my own dime. Yeah, I paid for it all myself. I did it on the nights and the weekends. I did it all on my own. And why? Because I feel like this is really a valuable platform that we're not utilizing as a company. This is not something that's only valuable to us for troubleshooting purposes in offices in our own enterprise, but also it is a menu option that we can offer our clients. We're kind of like an MSP plus. We do everything that a managed service provider would do for a client and more. But one of the things that every managed service provider, and I mean every serious managed service provider, does offer their clients is a remote access monitoring, management, performance, configuration, security platform such as SolarWinds. SolarWinds is the biggest. I think it's the biggest one out there. We have it, but we're not using it. So I felt it was really important to get this up and running, to show that it can work, to show that it's here. I have created a network operations center because I feel it's that important to kind of show what we've been missing out on. So this is it. Here's a network operations center where none had existed before. So right now we're connected into the Sacramento VPN into Sacramento. There seems to be more interesting network over there. There seems to be a lot of switches, a lot more going on, at least that I was able to see. Again, there's not a lot going on, generally speaking, because of the coronavirus. Everybody's still working from home. There are very few people within the offices, but there seems to be pretty good activity there. So I have already brought up, I'll go over here and say, if you look at the Orion platform, SolarWinds platform, there's a ton of stuff in here. I could spend all day going over that. This is an enormous platform. Again, a network operations center, for those who don't, and I know I'm talking to a broad range of technical folks here. A network operations center is usually consisting of people who only work in the network operations center, and sometimes they'll combine the NOC and the SOC, the network operations center and the security operations center, into one building or one area. But typically that's all you do, because that's how huge a thing it is. Let's see if we can reconnect. We can reconnect. Look at, we're right in here in Sacramento. We can drop in background screens. So if this is just a PDF or a JPEG that I imported for the Poway location, we can put any location in there. I only have Poway right now. All these nodes are actually in Sacramento, so these don't exactly jive. But of course, Google is up. So I know that this ISP is up. Well, I know the ISP is up because I'm polling it. So it's polling. There's other ways that you can do this. You can have polling stations on location. So Sacramento could have a workstation that's acting as a polling station. Azusa could have one. Poway could have one. Bakersfield could have one. Fresno could have one. They could all have their own polling station. Any location, any network, anywhere, any LAN can have a laptop there with a SolarWinds polling station that points back to this server. All right, so it's polled. If I wanted to force a poll to a location, it should automatically, once you connect, do that. But I can always go network discovery. Try again. Okay. And if I wanted to force it, I would go say Sacramento, because that's the one that I'm connected. These are ones, I've done my own LAN. These are ones that I've polled already. But right now we're connected to Sacramento. So we'll say discover now, and it would look like this. You can configure them to go automatically, of course, which is what it's already done once they made the connection. It automatically started to poll it. But then you can poll it manually as well. Takes a little bit. I'm just bringing everything in that I can see, again, because it's only one location and there's really nobody there right now. So because there's not a lot of activity on that network, I want to show something. And it's just going to be easier if I just grab whatever's available, so we can just kind of look at what it can do. Also, we have a license limitation on our subscription. I think it might be 50 or 150 nodes. It's not a lot. We would obviously need to update our licensing if we want to pull in more node. So let's go into dashboard. We should have what we need. Let's just do npm summary real quick. Let's just take a look at some things real quick. By name, here's a print server. A bunch of print servers there, and they're up. And let's just look at a couple other things. This is probably a UPS. We'll look at them in detail in a little bit. I just want to kind of go through these. Again, there's just no way I'm going to be able to show you everything. I just want to show you, look, it's up. So let's take a look at something. Yes, Rachel, my little bear. Let's take a look at this printer. We'll get a little bit of information there. We can go into different aspects of it. Take a look at the performance of those things. Normally those metrics would be live. Let's do a switch. Let's go here. Stats. And again, the activity didn't really start until we logged into it. I'm sure I could go back a couple of days. There you go. So this was a couple of days ago. This is the activity that's going on for this time period here. I can drill down into that, go back again. It'll tell us what's happening, packet loss, disconnections, things of that nature, why, where it was. We look at the topology, the topography. We can see where the problem was, where the bottleneck was, what went down, why it went down. Was there a loop? Was it the ISP? Was it from the modem? Are we getting signal? That sort of thing. Every jack, every port. There's a lot of configuration that can be done here. Again, I just want to show you it's working. It kicks butt. It looks great. It would be valuable for us to use this if we're going to offer it as a menu option for our clients. Is a managed service provider plus managed service provider and more, because we don't just do MSP, we do much more. But this is something that we should, in my opinion, not only use for our networks, but for offer it to our clients as well to manage, monitor, and secure their networks as well. That's the point of this whole video right here.
This is a quick introduction. My name is Kirk O'Halloran. I am on the small market business team here. Really appreciate you taking the time, Frank. I'd love if you could just give me and Sean a quick introduction to yourself, your role, kind of how you became interested in Pantera and what you're trying to get at it today.
Sure. I've been in IT for over 2 decades. I've worked at various roles, anywhere from my early days from help desk support, which I think a lot of us have done. 17 years, my own IT contractor, owner and operator of IT RMM type contracting company. And recently I was a IT administrator and manager for a charter school system here in San Diego. Mm-hmm. And the past couple of months, I accepted a contract position for the city of National City, which is an incorporated city within the county of San Diego. And it's a senior IT analyst.
Great. And so appreciate the background. And so just as kind of quick agenda for today, go over a little bit about Pantera, who we are, what we're doing, and then really that challenge that we're helping our customers solve. I will speak very briefly on our solution, and then I will kick things over to Sean, who will actually be able to pull up a lab environment of the platform so you can see how it actually runs, works, things like that. We just passed, I officially need to update this slide. We just passed our 500 customer mark a couple weeks ago. And are really working vertically agnostic. So anyone who's kind of interested in validating their kind of security or their security posture, automating kind of pen testing, they've been looking at us. We have worked with some government organizations. I know as far as cities go, we're working with the city of Riviera Beach in Florida. And then we are working with the state of New York as well. We are recognized by those Foresters, those Gartners. So it's not just us saying how great we are, and you have that ISO 27001 certification. But really, why you are here today. So the challenge that Pantera is helping our customers solve is really surrounding vulnerability management, pen testing, and security validation. So when we typically talk about these three, they're very manual processes. You use a lot of different third parties, and they're very resource intensive. Problem with this is that hackers are becoming a lot more sophisticated, and the attacks that we're using are becoming a lot more complex. So those bad actors are using automated tools, and they're having more success than ever. So the question is becoming, how can you actually prove that you are secure?
The first thing that drew me to you was the same thing that drew me to XM Cyber. The idea of being able to just say, okay, to this program, go out and look at this network and tell me what's wrong, instead of having to read through a whole bunch of logs and a whole bunch of reports and try to ascertain after the fact. I mean, we have logs that come in on our NIM and our storage and our routers and switches, things like that. But I mean, I don't know unless I log into everything, which one has an updated firmware. I don't know what's going on, so I have to log into them individually. Whereas I know that when I looked at XM, it goes out and says, yeah, this device over here has this problem, that device over there. I mean, real time in a very graphically friendly sort of way. So that's what similarly attracted me to you as well.
Okay, great. No, I appreciate that. And yeah, it actually does. Because you know what? I'm going to cut my portion of the presentation short so Sean can jump into his and show you exactly that. So this is really what Sean is going to be showing you. So this is how Pantera works. And so with that, I'm going to pass things over to Sean so you could just get an idea of the platform.
Very good.
Cool. All right. Thank you for that, Kirk. Awesome. So I think Kirk took all my cool talk points, honestly. So I'm going to try to fill in anything else he didn't mention already.
I'll give an example also where my head is at a little bit more granularly. So for example, as I was going through, and I've been, as a contractor, of course, I've been given somewhat limited access to the resources. But in the process of kind of looking things over lately, the way that I have, I've noticed VMs that are out of date. I've looked up the make and model of infrastructure devices that we have and switches and things of that nature, and they're past end of life. There's endpoints that are out of date in terms of their, and some of them critically out of date in terms of the Windows updates, because we don't have a remote reboot policy or anything. People don't want they don't want to restart their computers because they don't want to lose their tabs. And I'm like, well, you got these 30 machines that are out of date. I was like, these are all security risks, and this is based on my own getting in and not being too obtrusive. And I'm thinking to myself, what about these 100 switches and routers and other infrastructure devices that I can't log into directly to see where their firmware is or how they're configured? What's going on there? So this is the kind of thing where I'm hoping that I can run it and I can show it. That's kind of a big picture view of what I'm hoping to be able to achieve with Pantera.
Perfect. So
are we on the same track?
Yes. 100%.
I want that jaw dropping thing and make it easy and make it something that we don't have to go through a lot of logs to get to show it to you. It's like, look, dude, right there, see that blinking thing, see that blinking thing, see that? These are problems. This is, and it's saying right next to the blinking thing what the problem is. Hopefully as easy as that, but you get the idea. I just kind of want to be able to make an impact, say, look, there are problems here, we need to address them.
You're selling it for us right now, Frank.
Okay, good.
Yeah, for real. I mean, almost I can just skip the entire beginning part now. These are the 4 main case scenarios that Pantera come with out of the box. We have penetration testing black box, targeted testing, what if gray box, and vulnerability assessment. Starting here, this is your VM, vulnerability management, or vulnerability assessment scanner.
We're just kind of give me a graphical representation, even if you've got a video or something, some kind of graphical representation of what a scan would look like. Because we can log into every switch and every router and every this and every that and look at logs. I don't want to look at logs. I want to be able to show them something, say, dude, look at this screen.
Yeah,
like all that red stuff.
A couple of times about the logs, and it sounds like you've got extreme log fatigue.
Yeah, I mean, you know how it is. It's like then you got to interpret every freaking thing. It's ridiculous. This is 2022. Well, I can't believe that we're still doing that. I don't want to look at logs. Okay, anyway, so right away, I like what I'm seeing there.
Yeah, so this is UI. When you set up a test, you define the scopes. You put the IP address, you select your level of enumeration, and then you just let it go, right? And then as it starts moving through discovery and enumeration. So you start identifying all the devices within the IP range. And then you can actually start seeing a level of enumeration that comes back on it. So if it pulls the MAC address, you'll see that. We start fingerprinting everything else from like host names. If it's on domain, what domain is it on? The OS it's on. And you also get visibility into the services. And then you have some port protocol management happening here as well.
What's wrong, Sean? You want to show me the MAC address of your stuff? I just noticed that was blank. I'm just joking. I noticed it's not showing at the MAC address right there.
Yeah. You got me on that one.
Go on.
There's some vulnerabilities to
Yeah.
exposing your MAC address
I know,
to the
I know.
outside world of million parmers.
I'm teasing you. Go ahead.
Pantera starts trying to penetrate that device now. It's going to try to leverage the vulnerability to exploit the device. Anytime it's successful, we consider that to be an achievement. So that's where we move away from vulnerabilities and we start getting into achievement. So you're seeing this here, 520 achievement list. And we stack rank them by criticality on the left-hand side here. So from 1 to 10, 1 being like enumerating services, 3 being like injecting secure command files, I believe that's what it's called, or totally blanking on the acronym, but they're like booby trap files where they put like a little icon on someone's desktop and wait for an end user to click on it, be like, oh, what's this? Click it, and then boom, we have a host takeover.
Can I ask you a couple of questions real quick?
Sure.
So if we go to like that's the 3.4 a little bit further down, which says malware was uploaded. That's just like a sample test, something that Pantera has uploaded is to see that it could, in fact, take place.
Mhm.
It's not an actual piece of malware. Is that correct?
It's like Panteraware.
Panteraware,
So,
gotcha.
It's
yeah,
It's a benign.
It's a benign malware that Pantera is uploaded, but it does have a function. So,
I understand. But let's
actually,
say we go up to the top one here. Let's go to 9.8, the first 9.8 down. Yeah, let's take a look at that real quick. So here it's showing me with the problem. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Now, does it tell me how to remediate that issue?
Oh man, absolutely. So
that's the icing on the cake.
And that's going to allow us to move over to this 136. Now, if SB didn't work, Pantera pivots. It's going to try FTP or any other data transference protocol. Now, in this case, SB did work, so we relayed over to 100.36, and we're going to see if Caleb has any privilege capabilities. So we're going to do a remote procedure pull to the SAM database and see what other information can we get. In this case, we're successful in dumping out this administrator user and their NTML hash, a service account and the NTML hash, and another admin with the same MTML, so it's probably the same account. So now, again, we got another hash, right? We're going to take it offline, try to crack it. We're going to see if that administrator hash, because it's an administrator, see if it can get into any other host devices. We're going to validate it and see if we can add access to 8 different devices here, just using the hash to log in with. And now we're going to target to see which one has privileged capabilities. And that's this .12. You'll see found user with privileged RCA capabilities or our remote code execution. That's the goal here for everyone. And now from here, we're going to try to inject malware. Usually the rest of this kill chain, nothing really triggers on your security blue teaming tools just because this is mostly procedural. Sending data or SMB, remote procedural calls to same databases, logging into a device, using PowerShell. Most of the time we can bypass a lot of the standard default settings of security controls.
Just doing all of that, just doing all those things that you just mentioned manually myself is very time consuming.
Yeah. Because we're using the same kind of like techniques that say attackers use, but anyone
Nmap
uses,
and things like that. Yeah.
Yep. Our enumeration is Nmap. Our man in the middle is essentially responder from the Kali Linux tools, passing the hash or relay attacks all through responder tools as well. Injecting the malware is what MS Venom. Like all of these are the same kind of TCP
it's a
tools.
speed, but it's a speed at which the program can do it and then interpret it. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
And it saves so much time because now it's automated. Like I said, you can turn this on in the morning, have it run throughout its day. You don't have to do anything other than just your day-to-day operations in your job and come back and get a report this extensive.
And get a report that you can see visibly and not have to try to go through it and decipher 100 lines of report. Yeah. Okay.
So this case, we're pushing the malware, successful in dropping it. We bypass AV. So now we're going to validate to make sure AV is actually configured and turned on correctly. So it's picking up on anything like malware injections. And this is what I was talking about before. We're targeting like some of those legacy protocols. This is the RAM scripting LSAS attack. So we'll see we captured that administrator hash because that's the same one we use and it was used to log into that device. But we also captured someone else here, PRTG, their domain name or the domain they're tied to, and their clear text password. Again, it's stored in RAM and clear text. So if anyone else ever logged into this device and hasn't been turned off, that's staying in the RAM and we're going to see it.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then we're also going to say, hey, this is an active user. Let's check the DC since we have visibility to that. And we'll see on the domain controller that it actually states that not only is it an active user, it's a domain admin user. So now if I was an attacker, I'd be like, cool, I can propagate my attacks using this user's login because I have it in clear text. And again, obfuscated for the fact of POVs and demos, but you can see that in clear text if you choose to turn on the option in admin. But as an attacker, I can use that to propagate my attacks through that user, or I can just make my own user account and do whatever I want to do in the back end, and you'll never know. Now, when we talk about remediation, right? Vulnerability management states to go after the highest vulnerability because those are the highest risk within the organization. So if you did that here, let's say this 8.8, let's say you uploaded the signature packet for this malware, we allow you to do a simulation with a fixer. And this is the only time we simulate anything. So if you hit simulate fix, it'll show you the impact to the attack kill chain. You can see what changed because you remediated this part.
Oh, that's cool. So
Right?
you know where
So
you know
again,
not to waste your time on something. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that makes sense. That's higher. Yeah, because you wouldn't be able to get to the next thing if the first one went there. Yeah.
Exactly. So what we say here is go to the root cause, right? This is the 4.7. Now we understand it's a medium level vulnerability. It is not something on anybody's radar because everyone always says go after the 8s, the 9s, the 10s, because those are the highest ranking ones. But the next tab here is vulnerabilities tab. And that's where we kind of give you that whole ranked vulnerabilities by remediation priority within your environment. So again, if we were to take every single one of those attack kill chains that you saw on the left-hand side there and summarize it into one spot, this is what we're seeing here. The point of this is to show you that 4.7 to 5.8 mid-tier vulnerabilities are more ranked higher than the 9.8, 9.3s and 10s, because again, these will be leveraged to utilize to propagate our attack in the organization.
So this, regardless of the fact that this is 4.7 in severity, it's listed number 1 in that list because of its priority.
Yep,
correct.
Because of the business impact.
Oh, okay, very good. Very good.
Awesome. And then from there, I want to click into this, and I am 100% sure it will go down on me. Oh, it worked. Never mind. So if you click into it, it gives you a little bit more information too. It shows you a summary where it was found. So if it's
right there, remediation.
Device,
look at that.
Then you have a quick remediation, or if you click this link, you get dropped into our remediation wiki.
Nice.
This is your 101 guide on everything remediation for every vulnerability found in your environment. So you'll see all of them listed out here on the left-hand side. And it goes through the insight. So this is, again, name resolution protocol, insight, the impact of the organization, and then how to actually go through and remediate against them. So if you know how to do it already, awesome, right? If you don't know how to do it, in between your day-to-day operations, your projects, your jobs, dealing with other people in your environment, you got to Google and try to figure out how to turn some of these things off. And we understand that. So that's where we're saying, hey, everything you need is right here. You can go through, it shows you step-by-step how to turn these settings off. And then we also have a technical enforcement. How do you check to see if the remediation method actually worked? Did it work the way it's intended? Did it reduce your overall exposure and risk? And then finally, was the pen test without a report? As Kirk mentioned, we give you 2 levels of report, executive level report, and detailed level report. And again, everything we do is aligned to the minor attack framework. So if you want to verify and check those CTPs, we have them all heat mapped here for you from reconnaissance all the way over to data exfiltration and which ones were utilized in your environment. But all in all, that is the internal side of Pantera.
That's very good. I like what I see. And I know that it does more than what you guys were able to show me in the hour. I'm aware of that. But this was exactly what I'm looking for.